Thanks for joining us for another DK Custom Products video. My name's Kevin, this is Dwayne, and today we're going to be doing a video on the most popular mods for Harley Trikes.
Now this list is comprised of all the products that we ran a report on for the past 12 months, for the past year, whole 2023, of what the most popular trike parts are. And this isn't a list we come up with. This is a list you guys pretty much voted on with your pocketbooks, because these are the 10 best sellers for Harley Trike models. And a theme you're going to notice, because Trikes need a lot of help in this area, a lot of cooling components on here, and a couple suspension mods. Those are the biggest things, because that's where Harley's Trikes have the most room for improvement on. No surprise, number one, the tank lift with the deluxe option. The 1.5 inch tank lift, to be exact, the most popular. We offer these in a 2, 2.5, 3 inch, but the 1.5 is a very subtle lift, which, you know, if you go too tall, you know, it's a little radical on the Trikes. That's great on Dynas and Sportsters, gives you the stretched out look. Not what most people are looking for on the Trikes.
Yeah, but the 1.5 inch gets it up, it exposes the chrome, gets the airflow there.
That's right.
The next thing, number two, most popular, is an external breather system with the catch cans. Again, the same as most other bikes.
Yeah.
People like those catch cans. And of course, they want an external breather system that will stop that hot, oily, oxygen-depleted air from going in. We'll put a video up in the corner about why external breather systems are so important.
And then number three, another cooling component that supplements number one very well, and that's the cooling deflector wings. Paired with that tank lift we discussed in part one, you get a more vast range of adjustability out of those wings. So those wings, they're one size fits all, but you have to dial them in. You have to rotate them to capture headwinds the best and to cut down on that wind buffeting the best, because we're all different shapes, sizes, heights, different helmets, different handlebar positions. So you might have a different type of buffeting or a different level or a different way of wind buffeting that I don't have. So your wings might need to be at a different position. So when you install a tank lift, that just gives you more range of motion out of those wings. So it really helps you dial them in. So those two items supplement each other very well.
And the fourth most popular mod is floorboard extensions.
Oh, yeah.
And the floorboard extensions just get your feet out an inch away from the exhaust. They give you more room to move around. Your boot doesn't end up resting up against the muffler and burning some of the rubber off of the sole of your boot onto your exhaust. It's a super comfortable option, getting more room for your feet and getting your legs and feet a little bit further away from the engine so you don't feel as much as the radiated heat.
Right. Now, because, you know, the Harley Trikes, you know, there's a few different models. There's the Tri-Glide, there's the Freewheeler, there's the RG3. But by leaps and bounds, the most popular is that Tri-Glide. And they have lowers that are not removable. That traps a lot of heat. So if you can't, you know, there's ways you can get rid of some of that heat, but you're never going to get rid of it entirely. So the best thing you can do is get your legs away from it so it's not an issue. And then we'll move on to number 5, and that's the Tour Pack Relocation Kit. And, you know, if your passenger's not happy, you're not going to be happy. You're going to hear about it the entire way to wherever you're going. So why not move that Tour Pack back 1, 2, or 3 inches? Get if the passenger is going to complain, at least get them away from you a little, so you don't have to hear it. But Tour Pack relocations, I'm surprised that's not number 1 on the list, because every one of our customers that has a trike that's equipped with a Tour Pack, to my knowledge, has one. I mean, they're just great. They do exactly what they do. They relocate that Tour Pack.
Yeah. And number 6 are the Trike Series shocks, the next gen. Those come in 13 inch and 14 inch. And almost every next-gen shock that sold, also the 13-inch, they ordered the convertible comfort lift to go with it.
Yeah.
And the 14-inch, they ordered the convertible comfort mount to go with it.
Yeah.
And we have an entire video on the next-gen shocks that we'll put up in the corner. And they're just a dynamically adjusting shock and totally change the ride.
Yeah.
As Dwayne has stated in many videos, and as we've read time and time again of people who've gone and test rode a Harley Trike, they ride like a tractor.
Yeah, they're terrible.
I mean, the ride is just horrible. And it's from a combination of things, people having too much pressure in the rear tires. But the main thing is, whether it's the air shocks or the new coilover shocks, the ride's it's just bad. It's just horrible. And it's one of the very first things that we started working on
Yeah.
when we started working with Harley Trikes back in 2011.
Yeah.
And these dynamically adjusting shocks just make a world of difference.
Right.
And that's why, even though they're a high dollar item, they were the sixth most popular thing that people with trikes bought.
Right. And this list is a little skewed because you included the lift kit with the shocks. But make no mistake, the lift kit will work with the OEM shocks very well.
Right.
And for a lot of people out there, that's enough. Just supplementing the ride quality with that lift kit, which not only lifts it, it also increases the angle of the shock to provide a more plush ride quality, regardless of what shocks you have on there. So don't let this list alienate the convertible comfort lift, because it deserves a spot on the list on its own. But we'll move on to number 7, the dual cool oil cooler and oil filter relocation combo. And that's usually supplemented with the permanent oil filter, that billet aluminum oil filter. Just a little intermission here. Some of these bikes are $50,000, $60,000, if you have a CVO. Then why not make the bike last as long as absolutely possible? And, a lot of these bikes, if they're water cooled, like the Tri-Glide, no oil cooler. Why doesn't it have an oil cooler?
Well, because it's not really water cooled either. When we say water cooled, a lot of people go, "Oh, it's water cooled." It's just one jacket of coolant going around the exhaust valves in the heads. It doesn't even go through the whole head.
Yeah.
It just goes around the exhaust valves in the head. And Harley made a pretty bad mistake when they designed the twin cooled bikes. And that is, they put the water pump where the oil cooler normally goes, and these bikes have no oil cooler. And what's amazing is Devin just got his 121 VVT, and that has water cooling. Again, just a water jacket around the exhaust valves, no oil cooler. Now, it's been in the 20s and 30s ever since he got it, so he doesn't have enough miles on it. But one of the first things we're going to do is on that VVT is test to see what the oil temperature is, because it's got no oil cooler.
Yeah,
it's insane. It says right in the manual, the Harley manual, 230 degrees is the normal operating temperature for oil. It's impossible for that oil on a hot day, when you're riding more than a half hour, 45 minutes down the interstate, it's impossible for that oil to stay at 230 or below without an oil cooler, and they come without an oil cooler. So it's a bad design by Harley.
Well, here's a thought. You said earlier that Harley made a big mistake by doing that. Did they really? Because I guarantee you right now, there's people out there that are under the assumption that because Harley calls it water cooled, it's going to run cooler than the next bike that they don't call water cooled. And that's not the case. So that's a bold assumption that people, have. And Harley's in the business of selling motorcycles. Right. I'm sure there's people that have bought that motorcycle thinking it's going to run cool.
And selling replacement engines too.
Yeah.
When I got my M8 twin cooled bike, one of the first things I did was a test. I had no idea how the test was going to come out. I say right in the beginning of the video, I have no idea how the test is going to come out. If it comes out that the oil temperature is fine, there's no problem, then we won't even make that video. We won't even publish the video. But that's not how it turned out. So look at that video. We'll put it up in the corner here on when we first tested an M8 twin cooled bike to see what happened to the oil temperature with no oil cooler.
And number 8 on the list, the Outlaw air cleaners. And we call them the Outlaw because they all vent externally, and the EPA doesn't like that, and we don't like the EPA, and then blah, blah, blah. But they're pretty evenly distributed. People like the 587s, they like the 606s, they like the 828. And so this is a trike list. So it's not differentiating Milwaukee 8 to a twin cam. Right. But it's been my experience that the most popular for the Milwaukee 8 is the 828. And that's because it hides all those ugly electronics that's behind the air cleaner. So if you put a smaller round air cleaner on your Milwaukee 8, it's just going to expose that big servo. It's going to expose all the wires and whatnot. It just doesn't aesthetically look that great. Not a big problem on the twin cam, but so I just want to make it known that the 828 is very popular. I think that's your favorite on your Milwaukee 8. It's my favorite on my M8 Softail. It's low profile, it's large air box because it's oval shaped, but it's still low profile. So it gives you leg clearance, doesn't leave any performance on the table. Of course, all of our air cleaners vent externally, and yeah, it's a no-brainer. You know, the air box on all the trikes is a big enclosed cake pan. I know some of the M8s with the 114s will have the ventilator. That's not as bad as far as air intake temperature is concerned. Still vents internally, still trash, still you need to get that off there. But the trikes all have that big bulbous air box, and you need to get rid of that ASAP.
Yeah, and I think on the air cleaners for the trikes, the fin, the polished fin, the black fin, and then the contrast cut fin, the fin covers were the most popular. Coming in right behind that were the speed fin covers. So number 9 on the list with Thunder Torque inserts. A lot of guys want to put open exhaust on their trikes, and when they do that, they get the reversion. When they get the reversion, they get the drop in power. So the way to combat that is to put the Thunder Torque inserts in there so that you gain that power back. The other nice thing about the Thunder Torque inserts is guys will pull out the baffles because they want it to be louder.
Yeah.
And then it's too loud.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and that happened to me when and so they want it to be a little quieter. And so the Thunder Torque inserts do lower the tone a little bit, and they lower the decibels a little bit.
And the cool thing about the trikes is you can run the stock exhaust and nobody's really going to see it. You know, a lot of times people are upgrading because of the looks. You know, even on a bagger, you can't really see it too much, but on the trike, it's really hidden under the body. And I mean, you can get a much better result as far as sound goes, as far as performance goes, by just gutting the stock exhaust and throwing the Thunder Torque inserts in there. $50 compared to spending $600 or $700 on some ornamental, just high dollar slip-ons. To me, spend that money elsewhere. That trike needs cooling components, it needs comfort mods. No need to throw money at an exhaust system that's going to be inferior to your stock exhaust equipped with Thunder Torque inserts.
Right. Number 10 on the list, the 10th most popular were the FB16s, and this is a floorboard relocator for the passenger.
Right, and the name comes from FB, floorboard. 16 means there's 16 possible combinations of how you can mount. And there's some touring models, such as some of the street glides, that don't even have floorboards. They have foot pegs, but the mount is still the same. So the FB16 would work whether you have passenger floorboards or passenger foot pegs on your bagger.
So what this does is for the passenger, it lets them get their feet a little further out so they're not squished up in, and they can go higher or lower. And they can go forward or backward.
Yep.
So whether it's a taller person or shorter person, they just want to have more room. I want to say 2 things about the FB16s regarding the trikes. A lot of passengers, you know, the oh shit handles, the grab handles, you know, dig into their thighs. This is a way that you can put the FB16s on there and raise the floorboard up to get their feet up a little higher, to get their thighs off of there. The other thing is that trikes have, especially the later year models, have a little bit different side cover. And you don't have the clearance to use all 16 positions. So it's possible that on your trike, depending on what year you have, what model you have, RG3, freewheeler, tri-glide, you may only be able to use 8 or 10 of the 16 positions. You're not going to be able to use all 16 of them.
That's right.
You're still going to have a lot of flexibility, but just want to have that caveat in there. All 16 positions are not available on the later model years.
And a lot of our customers like to supplement the FB16s with those adjustable passenger foot pegs that mount to the floorboard mount and give you 5 different positions. I got a picture up here to show you what those are. So just so in case you're wondering, they do work together, and they work very well together.
Yes, and that's what Mary rides with, and she has never had a complaint since I did that. For the passenger, between the Tour Pack relocation, the getting rid of the heat, getting some good rear suspension on there, and getting the FP16s with the adjustable passenger foot pegs. That dialed it in for her so she can just relax back there and not be bothered by all the variety of things that she's too cramped up on, and too much heat and too stiff of a ride is how it comes from the factory.
That's right. That's right. So this is a list of our top 10 bestsellers over the past year. I feel like if this list went on a couple more, it'd be filled with all of our LED lighting. You know, the Tour Pack filler light, you know, LED upgrades up front, the mud flaps. But we're not going to get into that in this video. If you have any questions at all about anything we've listed here in this video or any of our other videos, give me a call or shoot me an email to support@dkcustomproducts.com.
Y'all ride safe out there.